Good Tuesday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joe Everett. Well, currently 47 degrees outside here at the farm this morning, and yesterday I started to see a lot of farmers getting back out in the fields, so I look to see a lot of planters rolling here later today. This quick calendar reminder: powered by soy biodiesel, the Ohio AgNet will be traveling to Wilmington College today to attend their annual Earth Day Ag Day event. Well, planting season has started for some farmers here in the Buckeye State. Let's see how they're getting along. Coverage of the Ohio Crop Progress Report is sponsored by Unleaded 88. Save on fuel with the blue handle. Fill up with Unleaded 88. Discover more at ohiocornandwheat.org. Starting with the national numbers, corn planting progress is at 12%. Planted nationwide as of Sunday. That was 1 point ahead of 11% last year and 2 points ahead of the 5-year average of 10%. As for the crop development, 2% of the corn was emerged as of Sunday, 1 point behind last year, but equal to the 5-year average. Moving on to soybeans, an estimated 8% of the intended soybean acreage was planted as of Sunday, 1 point ahead of last year's 7%, and at the same time, 3 points ahead of the 5-year average of 5%. Now looking to winter wheat, an estimated 45% of the winter wheat was rated good to excellent as of April 20th, down 2 points from 47% the previous week and below 50% at the same time last year. As for the crop development, 15% of the winter wheat was headed nationwide as of Sunday. That's 1 percentage point behind last year's 16%, but 2 points ahead of the 5-year average. Now looking at your numbers from the Buckeye State, topsoil moisture condition is at 80% adequate this week and 19% in surplus. Looking at corn planted, we are at 2% this week. That's up from 0% last week, but is equal to the 5-year average. Winter wheat joining is at 31% complete this week. That is up from 12% last week and is 14 points behind the 5-year average. Oats planted is at 37% this week. That is 1 point behind the 5-year average, and oats emerged is at 6% this week. That's up 5 points over last week and is 7 points behind the 5-year average. Now taking a quick look at the winter wheat condition, 34% is rated fair, 52% good, and 9% is rated excellent. Now let's check in with our own Brianna Smith for this week's Between the Rows.
It's time for a Between the Rows update. Between the Rows is sponsored by Seed Genetics Direct, business with a handshake, not a 3-year contract. Let's check in with Doug Dirkscheide, a farmer in Wood County.
There was a little ground got work there end of last week. Most of the week that wasn't already top dressed probably got top dressed. Heard some rumors of some corn and beans being planted in the southern part of the county. And then we got rain again Saturday morning, I guess. So probably going to be a little delay here again, but supposed to have decent weather and some heat this week, so guys will get a little bit more excited here again.
Seems to be that wet and cold weather persist across the state. We're going to check in with Dale Miller in Wayne County next.
For eastern Ohio, the last couple of weeks, I mean, there has been some beans planted, a little bit of corn, not very much. There has been a lot of, for the guys that's doing oats and some of the small grain, there's been a lot of that planted. And as a whole, everybody has been probably gotten their first cutting hay fertilized, and most of the wheat's been top dressed, and a lot of it has even been sprayed for weeds and stuff. So it's been fairly busy with some corn and beans being planted.
For the full Between the Rows update, head to ocj.com.
Thanks, Brianna, for the update. While the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative took targeted action to restore American shipbuilding and address China's unreasonable acts, policies, and practices to dominate maritime, logistics, and shipbuilding sectors. These actions come after a year-long Section 301 investigation. Ships and shipping are vital to the American economy, security, and the free flow of commerce, says USTR Jameson Greer. Our actions here will begin to reverse Chinese dominance, address threats to the United States supply chain, and send a demand signal for U.S.-built ships. The action will occur in 2 phases. For the first 180 days, applicable fees will be set at $0. After that, fees on vessel owners and operators of Chinese-based vessels on net tonnage per United States voyage will increase exponentially over the following years. Fees on operators of Chinese-built ships based on net tonnage or containers will increase incrementally in the following years. Actions also include incentivizing U.S.-built liquefied natural gas vessels. Stay tuned. We'll be back with today's weather after this.
Think biodiesel is just another fuel? Think again. Biodiesel is Ohio innovation on the move. Clean, green, and built to keep diesel engines running strong. It's an engine booster, a soybean supporter, and an environmental champion all in one. Every gallon reduces emissions, strengthens Ohio farms, and powers your ride. Drive with purpose. Choose biodiesel. Learn how at soyohio.org.
Those long days in a tractor cab can really put a cramp in your body. So while refueling or refilling your equipment, walk around the tractor a few times or do a few head-to-toe stretching exercises. When fatigue does set in, that's when injuries and mistakes happen. Know when it's time to take a break and recharge. Let's make sure everyone gets home safe and sound. This message from the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
You're tuning in on the Ohio AgNet. Today's weather brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Dry weather for your Tuesday, but we have more moisture coming this week. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag weather update. Here's what's going on. Tuesday doesn't look too shabby. We've got sunshine and blue sky in all areas of the Buckeye State today. Good evaporation with this setup. Tomorrow looks similar in all areas except for far northwest Indiana. There, I think we're going to be dealing with a little bit of moisture from a disturbance that's trying to move through northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and eventually getting into here. Do I think the moisture is a lot? No. Do I think we have clouds around? Yes. Clouds and probably a few hundreds to a few tenths in northwest Ohio tomorrow. Thursday, everyone's back to dry air, and we're getting good sunshine again. Clouds increase on Friday. Overnight, Friday night through Saturday, we're going to be dealing with some scattered on-again, off-again rain showers. I think the rain's probably done by Saturday midday. All in, all done, 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch of precipitation there. Behind that system, though, we're dry for the balance of the weekend with high pressure, good sunshine Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and we'll go into early next week as well, Monday and early Tuesday. I think it's going to be next Wednesday before our next front gets here, and it's going to bring rain and thunderstorms behind it dry for the first few days of May. I think we definitely have some windows of opportunity here, especially if you can be on the lower end of any rain total in the next week or so. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, the USDA reminds agriculture producers that the final date to apply for or to make changes to their existing crop insurance coverage is quickly approaching for the summer planted crops, annual forage, and forage seeding. Sales closing dates vary by crop, but the next major sales closing dates are May 1st, July 15th, and July 31st. Producers are encouraged to visit their crop insurance agents soon to learn specific details for the 2025 crop year. Crop insurance decisions must be made on or before the applicable sales closing date. The USDA's Risk Management Agency lists closing dates in the information browser under the Dates tab. Producers can also access the RMA Map Viewer tool to visualize the insurance program date choices for acreage reporting, cancellation, contract change, earliest planning, end of insurance, end of late planning period, final planning, premium billing, production reporting, and other types of important information. While soil residual herbicides are crucial for weed control, especially in no-till scenarios. To be effective, these herbicides need to be available for uptake by germinating seedlings, which can be achieved through precipitation or, if necessary, a shallow mechanical incorporation, says weed scientist Aaron Hager from the University of Illinois.
If there is a rule of thumb, so to speak, we generally say if you can receive anywhere from a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of precipitation within about 7 to 10 days after the application, that's probably one of your best case scenarios. And so if your amount of precipitation is less than that, or the interval is greater than that, then the likelihood that those soil residual herbicides may not perform as well as if those other two scenarios had been satisfied starts to increase.
Again, while there's no specific amount of precipitation required, a 1/2 inch to 1 inch within 7 to 10 days after application is ideal. If those two factors are not met, then there is a higher likelihood that the residual herbicide will not be effective. Well, what did the USDA's latest cattle on feed report reveal regarding year-over-year cattle inventories, placements, and marketings? Let's check in with Rod Bain from the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Still lower cattle inventory year over year per USDA's April cattle on feed report, yet continued signs of attempted inventory buildup. This is livestock analyst Anthony Fisher.
The number of cattle on feed in feedlots on April 1st was 11.64 million head. This was about 2% below a year ago. The report showed an increase in placements, which was within the range that industry analysts were expecting. The number of cattle placed in feedlots was about 1.84 million head, which was about 5% above 2024.
Marketings of fed cattle also represented a 1% increase from this time last year.
It's worth noting that April also gives us a breakout of cattle on feed for heifers and steers. On April 1st, there were 4.38 million head of heifers and heifer calves on feed, which was about 4% below a year ago.
With a lower percentage of heifer and heifer calves making up the total cattle and feedlot population than 1 year ago. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
Thanks, Rod, for the update. Stay tuned. We'll be back with your grain analysis and your overnight markets after this.
AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio is your Medicaid plan for more. More benefits, more rewards. We know that good health means more than just seeing a doctor when you're sick. Eligible members can receive extras like home-delivered meals and family essentials, like baby carriers and kids' school supplies. Members can even earn rewards for playing mobile health trivia games. Learn more at AmeriHealthCaritasOH.com and call the Ohio Medicaid Consumer Hotline at 1-800-324-8680 to choose AmeriHealth Caritas Ohio.
Farmers, be safe moving from field to field this season. Keep your warning lights clean and in good working order for roadway travel. Take a few minutes to check your lights and reflectors and make sure your slow-moving vehicle emblem is visible as you share the road. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. This message provided to you by the Ohio AgNet, OSU Extension Ag Safety and Health Team, and this station.
It's now time for today's market analysis, which is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company, excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Call 574-566-2113 for information on marketing soybeans to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the Monday session in the red all across the board. It was a very negative start to the week after a little bit of optimism early on that maybe this Chinese vessel tax carve out for agriculture was going to be something that would be supportive. But we just could not get any traction behind that overall. Soybeans were the first to back up below unchanged yesterday. Wheat was second, and corn finished up just a couple pennies down for the day, but it was definitely a weaker tone in all markets. So what was it? Well, I think part of it was due to outside markets. We started the day with the Dow off about 400 to 500 points. The Dow really drove the market yesterday. Macro market focus. Dow over 1,000 points down for a little while, and that's really what probably cratered everything on the grain side. President Trump continued his call for the U.S. Central Bank to lower interest rates, and that placed considerable pressure on Chairman Powell and the potential of a slowing U.S. economy. The presidential pressure is causing acute pressure on, first of all, the U.S. dollar and secondarily the stock market. The equity markets are worried about a slowing U.S. and world economy. The commodity markets could not overlook that decline, at least in the wealth aspect of equities, and worried about some future weakening demand. Weekly export inspections were larger than expected for the week ending April 17th. The U.S. shipped out 67.1 million bushels of corn, 20.2 million bushels of beans, 18.7 million bushels for wheat. For the respective crop years to date, we are still ahead of last year by 29% on corn, 11% on beans, 14% on wheat. Those numbers are shrinking ever so slightly, but still, we're actively shipping out U.S. grains, including soybeans that went to China. There's estimates that China is virtually completed in their shipping out of U.S. beans, though, so don't look for this to continue in the weeks ahead. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now taking a look at your overnight trade brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. May corn 4.82 3/4, up a penny. December new crop corn 4.64 1/4, down a quarter. May soybeans 10.34 1/2, up a nickel. November soybeans 10.28 1/2, up 2 3/4. July wheat 5.53 1/2, up 1 1/4. Looking at livestock from yesterday's close, April live cattle 209.77, down a nickel. June live cattle 203.75, down 32 cents. May lean hogs 91.02, up 62 cents, and August feeder cattle 289.15, down $1.72. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, everyone. This is the Ohio AgNet